All right. I'm ready to get started. So this is going to be a follow-up. If anybody saw the stream over this past weekend, I was working on this Etch-A-Sketch device. I was working on some of the CircuitPython code. So I have modeled up the front of the case here. And so what I'm working on tonight is going to be the back of the case. So if I flip this over here, you'll see we have the Pi portal. We have two of those rotary encoder Stemma I2C connectable rotary encoders, and then I actually have I think it's a MPU 6050 accelerometer right there. That's gonna be part of the design of the back case, which is what I'm gonna work on tonight. That MPU 6050 will connect to the back case, and then that will give us the ability to listen for shakes, so that we can use that shake as a cue to reset the screen, like a traditional Etch-A-Sketch does. So I know that's not a whole lot of a background if you did not see the previous stream. If you happen to be watching along with this and are curious about what I'm doing and you don't have more of the background, then you can let me know in the Twitch chat, or I'm also trying to watch the Discord chat there in the live broadcast room, and I'm happy to explain further. But I am gonna go ahead and jump in for now. Again, working on the back of the case for the Etch-A-Sketch. So we're gonna start up a new file. I'm gonna load up the front of the case as well, because there's a couple measurements and things we're gonna need to grab from inside of there. Here. Open reset. Already here almost. Let's just find it. Front. Okay. This is the front. You can see I've got the Pi portal and the Stemma rotary encoders in there as well. Hopefully, yeah, my okay. That's good. Yeah, the preview is visible above the camera there. So really the things that I need from this are the measurements for the corner posts, because we need to have holes there in the back of the case, and the overall size of the entire thing. So let's start out just trying to make the overall size. This front. We need another new one. Looks like that open overtook my new one, so let's do that. And here's some of these variables, case X and case Y. I think are going to be the measurements we need. Look, so yeah. Kowski this, so that is making it into a rounded rect. You can grab that to start with. And I think we can use a cylinder instead of a sphere because we don't need it to be rounded on all directions, just the sides, the left and right sides. We will need to bring over these variables. Rely on some of these others, so I'm actually just going to bring over everything, even though we might not use it. Okay. So this should draw, I think, a rounded rectangle. Yeah. Maybe we should do this in the same file. Yeah, eventually I might break this out to a different file, but I think I'm actually going to move it into the same file for now, because then we'll be able to actually hover it on top of front and make sure everything lines up without having to copy paste it. So I'll just make it a new module in this one. With the modules, module, back case. And so let's comment out some of the rest of this stuff for now. Or actually, we could leave it. Why don't we just we'll translate this above it? That way we can make sure it's the same size. So let's go. Just down here is good. Translate this up some. We want to go up by like enough to get on top of this thing. So I don't know. Let's just try 10 or something. Back case. Call this module. Brush this. Okay, so now that's drawing up there. We need to go up higher. Go 30, 20. Okay. You can just check if that's covering the whole thing. It is. Okay. So I think this backplate, it's going to be, I think it's going to be 3 millimeters thick in most of the places. And then it will have some countersunk screws. So a couple parts of it will be thinner than 3 millimeters, but majority of it will be 3 millimeters. So we can set this to 3. Scooch this down some more now. Okay. Let's cut the corner holes in it because we need to have holes going through this which will stick the screws through to screw them into these holes here in the front side. Let's cut holes in this. Okay, so we're just gonna go difference. To be the positive, and then we're gonna cut out from it 4 cylinders. Let's find these. The corner posts. Okay, these are the corner posts. Specifically, these I think are the screw holes. And we'll need to get some more of that translate. Start with this. This is also going XY translate by these things. Match that up here. Z. Can probably change the Z. Let's see what this does. Does this cut a corner? Yeah. Okay. It looks like it's lined up as well, so that's good. And we want these to be actually a little bit wider because the holes that are cut in the red piece, the front piece, those are intentionally narrow so that the screw will kind of tap its way into them. But on the back piece, we want the screw to pass through just nice and easy, so we can widen these up just a little bit. And I have the screws I'm using here. I'll show it real quick on the camera. It's I believe it's these ones. So this is just a little metric screw and nut little container I got from Micro Center at one point. So this one here I think is what's going to be used in these. Yeah. So we want our hole to be wide enough that this can just pass through it with no issue, but then of course we want the head to be getting caught on it. So let's get the old calipers here. You can do this on the screen. It's maybe not going to focus, but you get the idea. So this screw has a shaft of 2.9 millimeters. So we'll go a little bit bigger than that, maybe like 3.2 or something like that. You can see right now we're down to 0.5. That's why those holes there are narrower. The 2.9 would be exact. Let's start with like 0.2. This bigger. Okay, yeah, now let me make those corner posts red so that they're easier to see through the hole here. Why are these? Oh, it's in my find. Go to the corner posts. Make these red. Red. Wait, red. Now those are red, which makes it easier so we can align this up and see that we are still aligned with this hole, but we are a little bit bigger now. So we should be able to pass through the screw easily. The other thing I want is these to be countersunk, so we need to cut a little bit more out of the side that the screw is going to go through. We also need to decide which way we're printing this. I think it probably makes sense to cut out of the top of the print. Yeah, the top of the print, which actually does align with the way it's currently oriented in the preview there as well. So let's go back to our back case. Could probably make a module out of this stuff too, honestly. Module back screw cutout. Oh, did I ever change my... Yeah, okay, we did change. We're in software and game development now. They got a new category finally on Twitch here. Back screw cutout, so do this inside of here. And we call this here. Do the same. But then let's go ahead and do the countersink. So we'll make another cylinder. And this one, we want it to be how big? Big enough for the head of the screw. Fit all the way inside of. The head of the screw is 5.1 millimeters. So maybe we'll say all the way up to 6. Put a nice little bit of room around the outside there. 6 diameter, R equals 6/2. Height, this one we are gonna be 2 millimeters tall. Because, well, we can be bigger than this, I guess, because it's going to be a cutout. Yeah, let's make it bigger than this, since it's going to be a cutout. And if it's exact, then it does this weird thing where it tries to draw, but it tries to cut out, and it's like blinking back and forth a little bit. And we can center this. We can use the same fineness, but we need to translate it because we want to move it up. So it's height 13. Let's see here. So maybe we should make these the same. And we're cutting through 3 millimeters of plastic, so as long as we're bigger than 3, all right. Hit 5. And so this one, we want to get... We want to be 1 millimeter... I want to cut out the top 2 millimeters of this plate. Where is this at right now? If we go up half of our own height, height is 4. If we go up half of that, that would get us to the baseline. There's our cutout right there. But it's, now the screw cutout's gone. Got this by itself. Okay, so that is pretty much the shape we want. But are we 2 millimeters above that? It's not translated at all, at least inside of here. We should make them the same. Yeah. Then they are definitely yeah. This here should be 1 millimeter. So let's test it with a cube. Okay, so that is bigger than 1. So we're still not lined up quite right. So we need to move this whole thing up. Just want to move this back out of the module. This is going outside of when we call the module, so it doesn't matter to our local space here. Let me start this over. We want the shaft cut out. Make it exact for now. And then we can make it bigger if we need to. Let's take center off so that this is going to be just on the baseline. And the screw cutout, we do want 3 millimeters, and the screw head cutout, we want 2 millimeters. Let's take center off of this one as well. So now the small one be poking out of the top. Moved it up. Turn that off though. There we go. So now we have a 2 millimeter bigger cutout. We have a 3 millimeter smaller cutout. Of course, they're positives right now, right? They're not cutouts at this point, but we're using difference, so they'll be cutouts when we turn everything else back on. So we want to scoot this up by 1. Just 1 though. That should leave us with 1 millimeter, yes. Hey, thanks Flapjaw, appreciate the follow there. That's gonna leave us with 1 millimeter right here, which is the same size as this little tester block, and it does look like that's correct. Okay. So let's take out the tester block. And let's turn the rest of this back on. Okay, and so the thing is now we just need to position ourselves. So we are too far down. We need to come up some, and the amount we need to come up is going to be, I think, is it going to be half of the 3 millimeter thickness? Go to where back case is called. And let's make that the only thing. And let's go inside the translation. See where this is at. So this is, yeah, this looks to be halfway. Halfway through the baseline there. So yeah, I think we want to be, well, we would want to go down, I guess. That can't be right. No, we definitely need to go up. We definitely need to go up. Probably half of the thickness of the whole plate. This is manipulated anyway, so maybe that's why we're too low, actually. What if we start with 0? Yeah, now we're on the top side. Okay, so we had some extra translate there. So this is on the baseline, sitting on the baseline, and the actual plate is halfway on the baseline. So we actually need to come down by half of the size of the plate, which is 3 millimeters. So that we're not poking through the top anymore. Go back to like this. Yeah, so here's the thing that it does. This is why I like to sometimes make sizes bigger than they need to be so that it will actually cut all the way. This is like a part that's not really there. Like if I do F6 render, then it will go away, but the preview render is there for. So are we not actually 3 millimeters tall, or do we have something else wrong here? Almost like we came down too far. Get it all there. So I think are we not 3 millimeters tall? Let's go back to 0. Be 3 millimeters. Little sizing cube. Yeah. Oh, no, this is bigger than 3 millimeters. So the cube, which is part of the Minkowski, is 3 millimeters, but it's gonna get, well, it's gonna get half of the height of this cylinder added to it. Which I have no idea what that would be because we didn't specify it. I guess 1, maybe? Why don't we do the height of this is 2. Height of this is 1. Half of the height of this will get added onto each side. Yeah. I think before we probably had 3. I assume this defaulted to 1, so then I guess we probably had 3 with plus 1/2 on the bottom and plus 1/2 on the top, so 4 total, which is why our 3 millimeter tall cutout got lost in the middle. But now we should have 1 millimeter in the middle, half of 2 on the top, half of 2 on the bottom to get us to 3 total. Okay. Where's our exclamation point? Let's turn that back off. Okay, so we still have our cube. Off the cube. And now Let's use a measuring cube to make sure that this plate is 3 millimeters. Put it outside of here. But we're gonna have to translate it pretty far, I think. Like, at least these plus half of this plus, so that's another 5. Let's try plus 7. So that's far, I guess. Don't need to be that far. Oh, it would be half of these, right? Half of these, not half. Sure, okay. Okay, so we're not lined up vertically. Are we not centered on the baseline? Seems like maybe we're not centered on the baseline. Hey, C-Films, I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good, thanks for asking. You up to anything fun tonight? Interesting, I would think. Working on SQL, I gotcha. Good old databases. So, I mean, we could just go up by 1. I feel like I don't really understand why I have an error. Yeah, that's kind of the story of my life with SQL, certainly. Could go out a little more. So that did seem to line it up right, but as though I understand why we are essentially at 1 height instead of just purely centered baseline there. Does look pretty exact though. I think that we are there now. Could even get it partially bedded. Yeah. Okay. So we are 3 millimeters thick, but we are 1 millimeter taller up the z-axis than I was expecting. So we probably just need to move our cutout up by 1. Am I celebrating Fight Procrastination Day, also known as Do It Day, and Do It Day, which is observed annually? No, I had not. I was not aware of that. I mean, I guess I am celebrating accidentally, I guess you could say. Celebrating by working on this. But no, I wasn't aware of that. That's kind of cool though. Well, let's go up. Be up by 1. Be down by 1. Either. If we go down by 1, then no longer cutting out of the top. And if we go up by 1, we're too far. This not being centered. Yeah, did. That's centered now? Okay. Okay, so that actually gets me back. Hey, get down. I'll be right back. Bad kitty's getting up on the counter. Okay. So now this should be 0. No. Is it? There we go. I think that's it, maybe. I think we're back to where I thought we were originally. Yeah. Which is that we need to go down by half of the thickness of the plate. Because the plate is centered, but the screw cutout is not. Yeah, so we need to go down half the thickness of the plate, which is 3 total, so half is 1.5. So now we got the little ghosty lines telling us that we are exactly on the money. Is we're 3 millimeters tall, it's 3 millimeters tall, and we're cutting exactly 3 millimeters out. If I do F6 render, then these holes will be regular holes. And if we scooch over here, what we see is that we have a small hole on the inside, countersunk to 2 millimeters deep. So we got room for the cap of the screw. It's going to fit through this hole. And that's going to line up with the holes that are in the front case. Let's take out our cube. Oops. Okay, so now we have one corner done. We can just copy paste that to the other 4 corners. Oh. Oh, right. So this is where it's nice if those are actually bigger. But I've just gotten all the math right. Well, so this is plus by 1 and it's not centered, so we can just make this bigger. And that's fine. And this one we could do, we could make it 4, scoot it down by 1. Then it would cut through the bottom, but it would leave the actual, like in actuality, everything is the exact same now as it just was. We just get rid of that rendering weirdness. Okay. So we've got one of our corner posts. So let's turn the front back on. Make sure it lines up. Yeah, it looks like it does. Okay. Perfect. All right. So we want 3 more holes, 1 on each corner. We can basically copy this. And we go negative on this one for 1, negative on this one for 1, and negative on both for the last one. There we go. Now we got 4 holes, 1 on each corner. Okay. Let's take a quick roam around here and make sure that they all look lined up and good. I mean, they definitely should be. Go. Okay. Okay. So the other thing we need on this is we need 4 small holes where the accelerometer is going to mount to. Let me save this. So we have the accelerometer in here. It's hooked up through another one of these stemma cables. It has these 4 holes in the corners, 1 in each corner. And we have these little screws right here, which are able to fit through the corners of these. So we're going to cut holes in the back plate big enough for this screw to go through. This thing will be screwed on to the inside of the back plate, like right here. Our screws will come in from the back. The nuts will be on the back side of this sensor. Yeah. Maybe we'll need a bigger cable here. If so, I've got some longer ones we can stick on. So let's look at the specs for this. So these holes, I actually had this pulled up earlier. These holes are one of the really nice things about Adafruit parts is all of this information is available. So go to the guide. Some of them have models. I didn't see a 3D model for this one. I'm sure there is a model. You could probably ask somebody and eventually they would release it. But what there is this diagram. So from center of this hole to center of this hole is 0.5, and I think these are in inches. From center of this hole to center of this hole is 0.8. And I actually downloaded, no, I didn't download it. Let me go and download it. It was that other accelerometer. Still have this up anywhere? MSA 301. MSA 301. This is not the accelerometer I'm using, but it is similar, and it has the same footprint on this board. And this one does have a model, so we can just download the model for this one, and even though it's not the same board we're using, the shape, the physical shape is pretty much the same. Save this. Copy it. Here is accelerometer. And so we basically want this in the center. Right? I'm pretty sure this should be not the exact center, certainly real close. Essentially, we want this to end up halfway between the rotary encoder cutouts. So let's start with the center and see where that gets us. I'm gonna, inside the back case, I'm gonna go Excel part, import. Okay, so this is right side up, and it's on the top of the thing. So we need to flip it over. Of course, this will not be part of the final print. We're just sticking it in for reference. So let's flip it over. Yeah, let's flip it over the x-axis, 180. Okay, so now it's like inside the plate. See it kind of sticking out of the bottom there. Part of the problem actually is this is not centered. So I actually used this trick yesterday. What we can do is open this file inside Cura. Then we can center the part, and then we can save it back as an STL again. So it does look centered. That didn't really move it. Are centered. Let's get rid of the front. No, it's definitely not centered. I guess it's probably going positive. Oh, this is rotate. Want to scoot this down. Okay. Looks like it's just positive in the grid there. It's positive X, positive Y. Make this black, because that's pretty much what color the part is. Make it easier to see here. Okay. Actually not exactly positive. It's sticking over this line a little bit. Which is kind of strange, actually. Why would it be? Not on the line, I wonder. So it is on the line when it's by itself. Interesting. Possibly rotate, causing it. It was just a trick of the perspective. Yeah, maybe it was just a trick of the perspective. Now it still does look like it's on the line there. Yeah. It's a trick of the perspective. Okay. So if we come negative, if we go to the negative direction, well, no, actually, if we go negative X and positive Y by half of the width and the height of this module, then it will be centered on the origin here, the XY coordinates. And this is, the full size of this is 1 inch by 0.7 inches. So 1 inch in millimeters, 25.4 millimeters. We want to go down by X. 24, 25.4? Yeah. 5.4 over 2. And then 0.7 inches, 17.78. Minus, no, positive Y. 17.78 over 2 again. Now we're centered. Okay. So let's get rid of the front again. That does center us. Need to scooch in the direction towards the encoders. because this will end up here, basically. Because we don't want the screws to interfere with the pi portal. This will be like right about here. I think it's probably, we got enough room to play with, we can just kind of eyeball it. We do need to know the right direction though. Okay, so we need to go basically positive. No. We need to go negative y. Yeah, we need to go negative y. Actually, you know what we can do is could turn off the plate for now. And then we can see where it's at like this. That makes it real easy. So we want to go negative y. So let's go try negative 10. That's not enough. Still not enough. Close though. That's probably good. We could go a little more. And it looks like we're closer to this encoder. I think maybe the encoders are not perfectly centered. Yeah. One of them is 34 millimeters away from the axis line. One of them is 30 in the other direction. They're off by 4, so we would need to go 2 in one direction, make up for it. 2 in the positive x, if we want it to be exactly centered. Now the question is that where we want it? That is in between the 2 encoders. I think we want to be closer to the pi portal. So like here I'm pretty close, like 1/4 inch or 1/3 of an inch or so away from the pi portal. Whereas in the current rendering, I think we're actually like up here. I think we want to bring that back a bit. Although it is tough because of the height. Let me scoot it down some. Just for testing. So let's actually make another translate that I can delete more easily. I accidentally did F6. It's not going to want to render these STLs. Here we go. Let's take that back. So now we're down in there with the PyPortal. We're not as far away as I thought at first, actually. We could stand to go maybe a little bit closer still. So that is positive Y. Okay. So the other thing is the reset button is right there. If we wanted to be super fancy, we could try cutting a hole for the reset button also. Now we've got this amount of space between it. Looks pretty good. About where this is at here. Yeah, I think I like that. So, can get rid of that extra translate down. And we can put back on the back plate. And we need to cut some holes. And I guess we're just gonna do the same 2mm countersunk. Although these heads are shorter. Heads are about 1.5. Do we want to go shorter or just keep it the same? I think we want to go... Let's go shorter. Let's make it countersunk by 1.5. So it'll be exactly half of the thickness of the plate. So the size of the cutouts... .88 is the diameter of this screw. So if we made the cutout 2mm, we probably got enough room. And the head is 3.3, so we still have enough of a lip there that we would catch the head. Let's make that cutout 2mm. So it's actually probably could be reusing this translate that we moved the part. Except this is inside the difference. See Films, if you're still there, you ever do any 3D printing or 3D modeling, anything like that? All right, let's go. So one thing is we could actually put all of these here. Would not go down. Cylinder. Said diameter 2 millimeters, so radius 2/2. Height, really, as long as we have at least 3, we're fine. Though we kind of had the same thing as before. We want this countersunk to the right spot. Start with 5. Up with 4 here. 3 on that. I'll do 4. So this is going to move it over to the center of the accelerometer. Maybe. Look like it. It's not cutting all the way through. So the fineness is super low. Okay. So that gets us exactly to the bottom. And let's go back to this. Okay. That's actually pretty close to a corner. Interesting. Basically, go down by Y and down by X. Up by X. That was Y. Still not in line. Still not even. So, I mean, we could just eyeball this, I guess. Like, we're getting pretty close, but I'd like to know the exact spot. Not really sure. Looks pretty exact, I guess. really get why this didn't take us to the center of this module. Let's copy this. Let's put it out here. We're going to stick these in a union so that we can exclamation point them. Work on this by itself. Oh. It's exactly on the inside line of this. Really don't have I guess we could figure it out. We don't have the exact distance of these holes from the center line. Well, the center line would be 0.5 inches. So the distance this way is from 0.5 8. No, because this doesn't start on the edge. exactly 0.1 on either side of the 0.8. From 5 to 8. Subtracted back by 1. 0.2 inches. Yeah, we'll work on just eyeballing it a little bit closer instead of trying to get from the center. Pretty close here. Got it. Pretty good. Put this closer backplate. Now it's even intersecting. Our hole is pretty good there. I don't know if it's exact. It's certainly pretty good. So go. Okay. I feel like less confident that that one is exact than I am on the first one. Feels like it could go to the right and down like just a tiny hair, but probably close enough. Okay. Good. So this one would be negative here. There? Yeah. Okay. So we got 4 holes that line up with the 4 holes in the module. And we need the countersinks. Probably make this a module the same way we did this one. Here. Called. Everything's the same, because all we did is put that to a module, but what we want now is make the countersinks. The countersink screw head is 3.3. So maybe we'll give it 4 millimeters total. Okay, so let's get the part back out of there. Got a gap there now. Not going all the way through. This was -1. So now those are countersunk to the same depth, but we actually want them not a full 2 millimeters, instead only 1.75. I mean, only 1.5. So we could go up the extra 0.5 millimeter here. There we go. Okay. So what's left? Don't need to care about the USB cable. Care about coders. Good. I guess the reset button? The only other thing. Be nice if we had access to the reset button. So, where we draw the pi portal, thing? No, this is the speaker. Here we go, the reset button's here. So let's get a cylinder loaded up. The same spot where this is at. And make it 5. Let's see what that's like. It's gonna be a cutout, so the height doesn't matter too much. Already gonna be on the baseline. So it could be nice for it to come up some. Okay. We need to go down by Y a little bit. And maybe shift it just a little bit in X, and that's actually pretty close. Down by Y. More. Still more. Okay. So we could deal with a bigger. Nice to have a bigger hole than that. That's probably good. So maybe up 1 in the X, but maybe not. Oh yeah, that's too far. 0.5? I don't know, we might have just been there on 0. That looks pretty good to me. So is that, if we go up a little farther, are we centered on dot of the button? Okay. Right. That looks like pretty good placement, so we just need to cut that out of the back plate. Go without that. Okay. All the way through. And the thing is that we also need that portal translation that we had here. All right, no. A little tough to tell. Does look right based on where we want the accelerometer. Make the pi portal a different color. Blue pi portal. It's tough to see right down on it there, truthfully. Really kind of tough to tell with the perspective. Let's temporarily extend the reset button. We can make it a different color. Reset button is only 3.1, 3.2 millimeters. Oh, we want not this one. There we go. That's pretty much exact on the reset button. So now as long as that's poking through our cutout, then we're good to go. It's not quite tall enough, but it looks good. There we go. Yeah, like we hit it perfect. Center of that hole. That's our reset button. Okay, I'll be right back. We're pretty close here. I think not enough time to print one of these today. I think we probably got this. Is there anything else we would want on the back plate? Got the 4 screw holes to close the back. We got the 4 screw holes to attach the accelerometer. Got a hole cut out for the reset button. We have access to the USB through the side, so we don't have to worry about that. Take the blue off the Pi portal. A nice black screen back. I think we might be good, honestly. So let's save this. Let's make it just the back plate. And let's turn off the part. Okay, do we have anything weird because in this stuff? Already in the same orientation. It will exist. Basically, I'm trying to make sure that because these things are just a little bit off center, means there's only one way this can go. We can't just flip it over this way because then our countersinks would be facing down. Just want to think about this a little bit more and make sure that when we print it, it's going to come out right side up with the countersinks on the top, and that thing will still be lined up, which it must, right? Because we have everything here. We have the entire thing with the Pi portal, with the encoders. We extended the reset button, it still fit right through the hole. So we must be in the right orientation, I think. I think we're there. I do think we're gonna print this back in black, so I guess we could, we wanted, 'cause that's what the color of the actual Etch-A-Sketch back is. We could go drop that on black there. Whoops, that's white. There we go. This is how the actual thing will look when it gets printed. All right. I think we're good. So I am going to keep it to just the back, and then I'm going to render with F6. Because F6 ignores colors, so it's back to just standard. And I'm going to save the STL. Calculate. All right. Yeah, so I think that's all I'm really going to do for the night. So if you hung out with me while I was working on that, I appreciate it. See Films, if you're still there, thanks for checking it out. Anybody else who may be watching on Twitch or YouTube, normally times that I stream are actually Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. So if you're interested in projects like this and you want to see more stuff like this, occasionally I am streaming at off times like I was here, just because I had a little bit of time and I wanted to work on this. But regularly my stream is at 10 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. So check me out if you are interested in this type of content. Although I will say, I don't normally do 3D modeling, right? I was working mostly on 3D models during this stream. Typically I'm working on like Python or CircuitPython code. But this is a CircuitPython project, and I just happened to have the code done, and we needed to do the modeling today, so that's what I ended up working on. But I'm going to sign off for now, and I will catch everybody next time.